Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's study. We're going to be looking at research methodology. The research methodology chapter in an academic research paper serves as a blueprint for how the study was conducted or will be conducted, depending on which stage of the research you are in. This presentation will be a discussion of various aspects of the research methodology. Welcome on board. My name is Lucy Wanjiro. So what is research methodology? Research methodology refers to the systematic approach, techniques, and procedures used by researchers to conduct a study, gather data, analyze findings, and draw conclusions. It encompasses the overall framework and strategies employed to address research questions or objectives. So this is a systematic approach. It tells us how you are actually going to conduct your study. Okay? How are you going to gather your data? How are you going to analyze your findings? How are you going to draw conclusions? It is an overall framework of the strategies that you will use to address the research questions or objectives effectively. What is the role of research methodology? It is very crucial in ensuring validity, reliability, and credibility of the research findings because it involves planning, organization, and then execution of research activities, including selection of appropriate research design, sampling techniques, data collection methods, and data analysis procedures. Well, research methodology also addresses ethical considerations such as informed consent, confidentiality, and integrity in research. We begin by looking at research design. This is part of the framework of the research methodology. Your research has to have a design. What is a research design? A research design refers to the overall plan or structure that outlines how the research study will be conducted. It includes decisions about what data will be collected, from whom, how, and when. The study design encompasses various components such as the research approach, data collection method, sampling strategy, and data analysis techniques. Okay, so examples of research designs. Yes, there are very many types of research designs. You may choose to do experimental research design, whereby the researcher manipulates one or more variables to observe their effect on other variables. This design allows researchers to establish cause and effect relationships. Then there is also correlational design. This one examines the relationship between two or more variables without manipulating them. Here, the researcher collects data on variables of interest and analyzes the degree and direction of association between them. For example, when you're doing a study that is investigating the correlation relationship between stress and academic performance, okay? You are looking at their association, you are looking at the direction, you are looking at the degree at which they affect each other. That is stress and academic performance, right? Then there's a descriptive design. Descriptive research design aims to describe characteristics, behaviors, or phenomena within a population. So researchers collect data through observations, surveys, or interviews to provide a very detailed description of the topic under the study. That is descriptive. You are trying to describe a character, you're trying to describe behavior, you're trying to describe phenomena within a given population. All right. Then there is the qualitative design. This one focuses on understanding the meaning and context of experiences, behavior, phenomena. Researchers use open-ended interviews, observations, or document analysis to explore participants' perspectives and generate very rich, detailed data. Okay, so let's look at the next component of the research methodology, which is the study area. The study area in an academic research paper refers to the geographical location. And where are you conducting your research? or the specific context within which the research is conducted. It specifies on the boundaries of the research investigation and provides the settings for data collection, because you cannot do research in a vacuum. Yes, you have to do it in a specific space, a geographical space. Maybe you can say a county or a town or a country or a city. Yeah, that is the geographical area, the study area. And this one provides settings for data collection. So why do you have to identify a study area in your research? Number one, to define your scope properly. The study area sets the boundaries of the research. It clarifies the extent of the investigation, the population, the phenomena, or even the events under study. This helps the researcher to focus their efforts and resources effectively. Okay, so the next thing that makes it very important to have a well-defined study area is contextualization. So when you clearly define the study area, you provide context for your research. You help your readers to understand the geographical, social, cultural, or environmental factors that influence the study findings. Then there is generalizability. When you understand the study area, you allow your readers to assess the applicability and generalizability of your research findings. Okay? Yes, you can be able to generalize your research findings to other similar contexts or populations. It also helps to determine the external validity of the study. Then we look at sampling. That's another component. That's another part of the framework of your research methodology. You need to do sampling. So what is sampling? Sampling techniques refer to methods employed by researchers to select a subset of individuals or items from a larger population for study purposes. So sampling, in simple terms, is the criteria used to come up with a study population, to identify the respondents of your study, all right? So these techniques ensure that the sample chosen is representative of the entire population. It allows the researcher to draw conclusions about the entire population based on the characteristics of the sample. So when you talk about a sample, it should be representing a certain population, okay? It should have characteristics that are going to represent the entire population. So there are various sampling techniques. We are just going to look at the major ones. Number one, we have the random sampling, where every member of the population has an equal chance of being selected for the sample. This method minimizes bias and ensures that each individual or item in the population has an equal opportunity to be included in the sample. Then we have stratified sampling. In stratified sampling, the population is divided into subgroups or strata based on certain characteristics, e.g. age, gender, income level. And then random samples are drawn from the strata, okay? This technique ensures that all subgroups are represented in the final sample. Then we have cluster sampling. Cluster sampling. The population is divided into clusters or groups, and then a random sample of clusters is selected. All individuals within the selected clusters are included in the sample. This method is useful when obtaining a complete list of the population is difficult, right? And we have systematic sampling. This is where researchers select every 9th individual from the list of the population. For example, if the population size is 1,000 and the desired sample size is 100, researchers will select every 10th individual from the population list. This one is my best because it's very simple. Then there's a convenience sampling. Researchers select individuals who are readily available and accessible. Anybody who is willing and is accessible is part of your study until you reach the number that you want. This method is convenient, but mostly it introduces bias into the sample because certain groups may be overrepresented or underrepresented. It is very important to identify a good sampling technique which you actually understand how it operates. For students who are in a bit lower levels of education, you are doing your undergraduate, you're doing your diploma, I would advise you to do the systematic sampling. The rest, you're free to use those complicated ones. So next, let's choose. How do you choose the appropriate research methodology for your study? So number one, you look at your research objectives. Does this methodology align with your objectives? Then number two, look at the resources that you have. Do you have skills? Do you have resources? Because methodology is about resources. When you're choosing your methodology, look at your resources, because when you're defining your population, your respondents, the number of respondents, wow, you need to really know, do you have enough resources to actually conduct research on that number of respondents? Okay, yes. Then there is data complexity. Select methodology according to the complexity of the data being analyzed. Yes. So if your study is not very complicated, don't select a very complex methodology for your study. Make your work easier. But if your study is complicated, then don't choose a simple method for conducting your study, because it is not going to handle the complexity of your study. All right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as we conclude today's matter, remember that to choose the most appropriate research design for an academic research paper, you must carefully consider the research questions, objectives, available resources, the nature of the phenomena being studied, and also ensure that your research method aligns with the desired outcomes. Okay? Then consider the most appropriate sampling technique for an academic research paper. How? By assessing the characteristics of the population, the research objectives, available resources, and practical constraints. All right? Make sure your sample is representative and it allows for generalization of the findings of your study with confidence. With those few remarks, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of today's academic journey. If you have found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe for more insightful content. Give us a thumbs up, like, and share. Also engage us in the comment section for any reviews, questions, and suggestions. Until next time, happy researching. My name is Lucy Wanjiro. Adios.